Paul Lee Stine's apartment, where he lived with his wife while he was attending San Francisco State College and working as a cab driver to make a living. 3898 Washington Street in San Francisco, the crime scene where Paul Stine was shot in the back of the head by the Zodiac killer. So here's the telephone book for September 1969, and let's see who lived there. Alexander von Haften. And then here's a photograph of Alexander von Haften Jr., age 12, with his mother. And he is the great-grandnephew of Leland Stanford, the founder of Stanford University. And here's a photograph of Alexander's wife and 2 daughters. And they had 5 children altogether. Now here's a photograph of a taxi cab of a crime scene with the taxi cab, but not the one in San Francisco. This one's from 1962. This was part of the crime scene of Raymond Davis, who was murdered on April 10th, 1962. He was shot to death by an unknown assailant. The autopsy revealed that a .22 caliber pistol was fired at close range, where he was shot in the back and in the back of the head. A man called police Sunday and said he was the same person who on April 9th phoned the station and told of plans to commit a baffling crime.
I killed the cab driver and I'm going to get me a bus driver next,
he said, then he hung up. The taxi driver was found dead in the alleyway behind or between former Mayor Joe McDonald and current Mayor Irwin Schuyler. So what if the killer was angry with the mayor and he just used the taxi cab driver to intimidate the mayor by killing him behind his house? So here's a map of the area of the crime scene. So down below there in yellow is where the Robbins family lived, where the teenagers saw the Zodiac killer wipe down the cab and head up Cherry Street. And then in the red is where the Van Haftens lived, who were very wealthy. And then up there on Jackson, that's where Officer Folk and his partner stopped as they were driving west and saw a man and spoke to him, and he ducked into the entrance to that address there. And Officer Folk wrote up this description of a white male between 35 and 45 years of age, about 5'10", between 180 and 200 pounds, medium heavy build, barrel chested, medium complexion, light colored hair, and walking with a shuffling loop, and he might be of Welsh ancestry. And so looking back at that 1969 telephone book way in the back when it lists the persons and their address, and you can see that the person that lived there was Fred W. Bloch, and Robert Bloch, his son, lived at that other address. And now here's a look at the family. And Robert Newton Bloch was age 45, and he was married, and he wasn't living at that address at the time, but that was his parents' home. And so he could have easily parked there took a ride down to the theater district and hailed the cab, and then had the cab drive to that location in front of the Van Haftens and kill that cabbie, and then head to his parents' house. And this would explain why that he heard the motorcycles racing and the fireman's lights, and he wasn't caught in the park, because he wasn't in the park. He was at his parents' house, and he could see what was going on in the back of their house. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and I will definitely follow up on this episode next week about that man and two other guys. So I'll see you then.